Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava, page 31a, the top of the page. And we are starting with the words, or the word Sali Kusta, Bishlama Rav Adabar Ahava, top of 31a. Residue from dates. The Gemara continues. Granted, Rav Ada bar Ahava acted in accordance with his halachic opinion that this is the halacha and a public ruling is issued to that effect. But with regard to Rav Huna, shall we say that he retracted his prior opinion? The Gemara answers, those owners of the barley were forewarned to remove the barley from the public domain, and they did not comply. Therefore, they were penalized by Rav Huna, declaring publicly that their barley was ownerless. New Mishnah. In the case of two potters carrying pots who were walking one after the other in the public domain, and the first stumbled on a bump and fell, and the second stumbled over the first and fell too. The first is liable to pay for the damage incurred by the second. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan said, do not say that the Mishnah is the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who says that one who stumbles is considered negligent and therefore liable. Rather, even according to the rabbis, who say that one who stumbles is generally a victim of circumstances beyond his control and is consequently exempt. Here, in the case of the Mishnah, he is liable since after falling, he had the opportunity to stand up and he did not stand up. Okay. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said, even if you say that he did not have the opportunity to stand up, he had the opportunity to warn the person behind him and did not warn him. Doesn't seem likely to me. These things happen so fast. It doesn't seem like they have opportunity. These things happen within seconds. Tripping and falling, and then another person tripping and falling. I wouldn't consider that an opportunity to warn him. At any rate, and Rabbi Yochanan could have said in response that since he did not have the opportunity to stand up, he did not have the opportunity to warn the other person either. Okay, so he says what I'm saying. Or I would say what he's saying, whatever. To warn the other person either, as he was busy trying to stand up. Therefore, the Mishnah, which holds him liable, must be referring to a case where he could have stood up. The Gemara attempts to prove that the opinion of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak is correct. We learned in the next Mishnah, in 31b, if the owner of a cross beam was walking in the public domain, carrying his beam first, and the owner of a barrel was walking with his barrel behind him, and the barrel was broken by the crossbeam, the one who carries the crossbeam is exempt. But if the owner of the beam stopped, he is liable, since the accident was caused by his stopping. The Gemara asks, what? Is it not referring to a situation where the one carrying the crossbeam stopped in order to adjust the load on his shoulder, which is the normative behavior of one carrying a beam? It is not considered negligence. And nevertheless, the Tana teaches that he is liable, as although he had the opportunity to warn the person behind him that he was about to stop, he did not warn him. This supports the opinion of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. The Gemara responds, no. It is referring to a situation where he stopped to rest, which could not have been anticipated by the person walking behind him. Consequently, he is liable. The Gemara asks, but according to this interpretation, if he stopped to adjust the load on his shoulder, what is the halacha? Is he exempt? If so, rather than teaching in the latter clause of that Mishnah, but if he said to the owner of the barrel, stop, he is exempt. Let the Tana distinguish and teach within the former case itself, as follows. In what case is this statement that he is liable said? In a case when he stopped to rest, but in a case where he stopped to adjust the load on his shoulder, he is exempt. The Gemara answers, the Mishnah is presented in this manner because it teaches us this novelty, that even if he stopped to rest, in a case where he says to the owner of the barrel, stop, he is exempt. Come in here an alternative proof from what is taught in a brisa with regard to potters and glaziers who were walking one up to the other, and the first stumbled and fell, and the second stumbled over the first, sustaining damage, and the third stumbled over the second, also falling and sustaining damage. In this case, the first person is liable to pay for the damage of the second, and the second is liable to pay for the damage of the third. But if they all fell because of the first is liable to pay for the damage of them all. And if they warned each other, in other words, each one warned the next, they're all exempt. The Gemara concludes, what? Is it not a case where they did not have the opportunity to stand up, and they are nevertheless liable to pay for not warning the people behind them? In accordance with the opinion of Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, the Gemara answers, no. It is a case where they had the opportunity to stand up, and they did not do so. The Gemara asks, but according to this interpretation, if they did not have the opportunity to stand up, what would be the halacha? Would they be exempt? If so, rather than teaching in the latter clause of the brisa, if they warned one another, they are exempt. Let the Tana distinguish and teach within the former case itself. As follows, in what case is this statement that they are liable said? If it is a case where they had the opportunity to stand up, but if they did not have the opportunity to stand up, they are exempt. The Gemara answers, the Baraita is presented in this manner because it teaches this novelty that even if they had the opportunity to stand up in a case where they warned each other, they are exempt. With regard to this halacha, Rava said, the first one who stumbled is liable to pay for the damage of the second, both for damage caused to the second person by his body and for damage caused to him by his property. By contrast, the second is liable to pay for the damage of the third only with regard to damage caused by his body as a result of the fall, and not with regard to damage caused by his property. The Gemara questions Rava's statement. Whichever way you look at it, this is difficult to understand. If Rava maintains that one who stumbles is considered negligent, the second person should also be liable to pay for all forms of damage caused by his negligence. And if Rava maintains that one who stumbles is not considered negligent, even the first should be exempt from liability for the damages incurred by the second.